Hello. I'm going to talk about the joy of absurd character names. It's something I find very fascinating. I like to create them for myself. I like to encounter them in books. I like to find weird and wonderful names wandering around in the real world. I'm sure we all have some of our favorite fictional character names. Lemuel Gulliver, Sherlock Holmes, Holiday Holly Golightly, Ebenezer Scrooge. One of the things that really stuck in my head for years after reading Cormac McCarthy's most autobiographical novel, Suttree, was this little short passage, a small paragraph with these sort of throwaway characters. And this is when the main character, loosely based on Cormac McCarthy himself, Suttree, is returning back to town after having spent some time out in the countryside. A season of death and epidemic violence. Clarence Raby was shot to death by police on the courthouse lawn, and Lonis Ray Coghorn lay 3 days and nights on the roof of the county jail among the gravels and tar and old nests of nighthawks until the search reckoned him escaped from the city. What dreams did he have of the Lady Catherine? Suttree saw her one evening in the huddle with Worm Hazelwood. She had no need to travel about the country robbing people. And news in the papers, a young girl's body buried under trash down by First Creek. Sprout Young, the rattlesnake daddy, indicted for murder. I think that's what kind of stuck in my head. Sprout Young, the rattlesnake daddy. Just to bring this character that we've never heard mentioned before onto the page and then just walk away from it. Although I have learned since then that there was a real person who was in the news at the time named Sprout Young, and I do believe the Rattlesnake Daddy was his nickname. But whether or not Cormac McCarthy made it up, it's still one of these just wonderful moments of, it's like dropping a little bit of spice onto a dish. And there's some authors that just can't leave it be. Their books are filled with these wonderful names. I already mentioned Ebenezer Scrooge. Dickens is just a little heavy-handed with these names, but I think they're wonderful. They're just all through the works of people like Douglas Adams, P.G. Wodehouse, Damon Runyon. And I guess if you're writing comical work, it's sort of easier to get away with, the lower brow your comedy is, the less you might lose your audience by going a little weird, a little absurd in your characters' names. Some of my favorite fictional names are from an episode of the Beverly Hillbillies. And so we are introduced to what is the latest batch of hopeful Hollywood hunks that are, supposed to be the next Rock Hudson, which of course is a wonderful name. And we have a whole list of them. We've got Dash Riprock, Biff Steele, Bolt Upright, Tab Strong, Race Burley, and my favorite has to be Crunch Hardtack. But so again, as I'm wondering, at what point are you going to cross the line? And is the reader or the audience just going to throw up their hands? And I don't know if I've ever read a James Bond novel, probably one or two, but I certainly know enough of the love that Ian Fleming had for absurd names from the movies, like Pussy Galore, and I suspect that might had me contemplate walking away from whatever of the Bond books that was in. Um, and then there was a character in Philip K. Dick's novel Valus. I don't know if that's how it's supposed to be pronounced. So the main character, uh, horse lover fat. Now it looks interesting on the page, I guess, uh, but still, you keep encountering these names over and over and over, and if they just don't work, and it wasn't working for me, and that may be one of the reasons that I never finished reading the book. Um, but I'm not a huge Philip K. Dick fan. I like the ideas. The prose doesn't always grab me. And we can find these people walking the earth out in the real world with these wonderful names. And sometimes you feel obligated to poach them and put them into your work. I know I do. I don't always do that. Um, there's this perennial mayoral candidate in San Antonio, Texas, whose name is Napoleon Madrid. And he is, as one would hope, very eccentric. I believe he does have a web page. It is a joy to encounter a lawn sign of somebody running for office with a great name, which brings us to here in New Orleans. There is a person running for some local office. I don't know what the office was, but his name really grabbed me. Adonis Expose, with the accent mark and all. That's great. When I grew up in Dallas, there were two realtors who I would see their names on billboards, and I was wanting to stick them in this Western I was writing. I never finished that book because they had the perfect Western names. One was Bart Wade and the other Newt Walker. To the best of my knowledge, they didn't belong to the same realty company. And on a recent trip to Dallas, visit family, I saw a house for sale. The lawn sign had the realtor listed as Skylar Champion, which, again, a wonderful, wonderful name. So, let's look at some of my writing. The book I have coming out, I'm hoping in the next couple of months, Tales of Lost Southtown. We have characters such as Fernando de Leon, Clay Daddio Bigelow, Jerome Hollister, probably some others. I've got characters from that book that also appear in my Kukui Club Chronicles. The main characters in these three books also appear in Tales of Lost Southtown, and they have relatively unimaginative names. So sometimes that's preferable, and then you can get the secondary characters to have names such as in my Tunnels Under the Tower, Dalton Deardriff, Lloyd Dempster, Lysander Hawthorne, and perhaps I went a little overboard with General Flavius Xavier Cornhusker, if that is indeed his name. Volume 2, The Mattress Devil. We have the characters of Pandora Salazar, Chaucer Chuck Van Dyne, Agora Pendleton, Tristan Sorrentino, No Blood for Corn. We have Heather Ventura, Porter Lonsdale, Calvin Dobler, Paisley McPherson, and Paisley McPherson's 103-year-old billionaire grandfather, Baphomet McPherson. which again, maybe a little extreme, but I do make it clear that Baphomet decided to change his name when he was young and carefree and hip. Then I've got my as yet unpublished novel, Samsara Dirge, characters of Selija Jones, Dr. Lydia Hetzel, Parcel Prescott, Azalea Honeycutt, falafel vendor by the name of Charlemagne DeWinter, and then there's the book Marooned at the Happy Palace Cinema that I'm trying to get some representation for. We have characters of Cleve Somerville, Barney Littlepage, Leona Euphonia. I think she can be forgiven for her name. She is a contortionist, and so I suspect that she probably gave herself that name. There is Gordon Euripides Eustace, the publisher of an underground magazine, and as a member of Old Money in the city of New Orleans, one can assume that maybe his parents had enough of a cosmopolitan nature to give him such a name. And then there's the book I'm working on right now, Lemaster's Esoteric Archives. We've got the main character, the titular character, Milton Lemaster Jr., his good friend and postmaster of small town that he lives in, Chamoy Carter, a somewhat mysterious figure by the name of Amnesty Valkendorf, Medley Barkmeyer, the head of the local Shakespeare Society, and the more proper villain of the piece, Jericho Cooley. And, some basic short stories with characters such as Frequency Joliet, Alabama Brocade, Leighton Lockmore, Kevin Verdorben, the famous Hollywood actor, deceased and then brought back to life, Dr. Maximilian Vicuña, the mad scientist necromancer who brought said Kevin Verdorben back to life. And it always helps to carry around a notebook or a smartphone so you can write character names that come to you, either from the imagination or something you see perhaps in a yard sign. My little app here, I've got Cassiopeia, Cassie Abernathy, Cinnamon Dixon, Purslane Musgrove, Petrichor Watson, and Umlaut Sorensen. The first U in his first name has an umlaut over it, so I think that makes his name Umlaut Sorensen. You get the picture. So, it is one of those things that helps to amuse me as I'm trying to make sense out of some of these convoluted plots I'm working on, or the moments of journeys down the rabbit hole researching a piece of information that probably isn't relevant to what I'm working on. Anything that can kind of break the occasional tedium, such as coming up with a nice name. It helps break up my day. And if anybody says, if enough people say, you might want to give a second thought to Petrichor Watson, and just take it out. No harm. Anyway, that's all I got today. The joy of absurd character names. Thank you for your time.